Okay, so today for your notes, you're going to have to watch this video, pause it when you need to, but everything that I would teach you in class is on this video. So our notes, the topic is solving for unknown angles using equations. Our objective is I will evaluate word problems and diagrams to solve for unknown angles involving complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. So our first problem to look at. Two lines meet at a point. We must describe the relevant angle relationships in a diagram. Well, we know that if angles are opposite each other, they are vertical angles. So angle S, an angle of 25 degrees, are vertical angles. That also tells us that R and T, they're opposite. So angle R and angle T are also vertical angles. The last thing we need to know is that there's a nice straight line going across here like this, which means that the angle of R and the angle of 25 degrees are supplementary angles. So let's work this out. S and 25 are vertical angles. Vertical angles means they are equal, so S must equal 25 degrees. R and T are vertical angles, which means they are equal. So if we use this, angle R and angle 25 are supplementary angles, we can find both of those. R plus 25 equals 180. We want to keep our R, so we subtract 25 from both sides. R stays. Inverse property cancels out. Borrow and subtract. And you have that R equals 155 degrees. And since that's what R equals, T must equal the exact same amount. Here is your three missing angles. So let's look at our next problem. Two lines meet at the vertex of a ray. So let's describe the relevant angles. We can see that R and P come together on a straight line, so they are supplementary angles. We can see that angle P, angle of 28 degrees, and angle of 16 degrees are also supplementary angles. If you look, angle R is straight across from 28 and 16, which tells us that angle R is vertical to angle of 28 and angle of 16. So let's look. R and P are supplementary angles, which means R plus P equals 180 degrees. To fill that in, we have to find one or the other. P plus 28 plus 16 equals 180 degrees. P plus 28 and 16 equals 44, 180 degrees. P plus 44 equals 180 degrees. Subtract from both sides. P comes down, inverse cancels out, borrow and subtract, and you have 136 degrees, which we can now plug in. 136 degrees. We want to find out what R equals, so subtract 136 from both sides. R comes down, inverse cancels out, borrow and subtract. R is 44 degrees, P is 136 degrees. Our next one. Three lines meet at a point. AOF is 144 degrees. So our relevant ones, always, always, always look for the right angle. That right angle, here's a perpendicular line, so this right angle tells us that this one must also be a right angle. What that tells us is angle of C, and we have to name this one, let's put X. Angle X are complementary angles. If you continue to look, this is a nice straight line, which means angle AOF, which is also our 144 degrees, and angle X are supplementary. So if we find X, we can use it to find C. So let's see, 144 plus X equals 180. Subtract 144 from both sides. Inverse property cancels out. X equals, borrow, subtract 36. 36 is equal to X. C and X are complementary, so that means C plus X, which is 36, equals 90. We want to keep our C, so subtract 36 from both sides. Inverse cancels out. C is now equal to, borrow and subtract, and you have 54 degrees. There is your missing angle. Two lines meet at a vertex of A. What are our relevant relationships that we know? Getting tangled up here. Again, always look for this right angle as soon as you see it, because we know that this is a straight line, here's a straight line, this is a right angle, which means this is a right angle. So this angle is going to be very important. Again, I'm going to label that as X. Angle of 26 degrees and angle of X degrees are complementary angles. We see a nice straight line, which means the angle of T degrees and of X degrees are supplementary. So let's start with the one that has a number in it. 26 plus X equals, complementary is 90. Keeping the X, we have to get rid of the 26. Inverse cancels out. X stays the same. Borrow, subtract, X is equal to 64 degrees. Now we can use the next one. T plus 64 are supplementary angles, so they equal 180 degrees. We want to keep the T, so we must get rid of the 64. T comes down. Inverse cancels out. Borrow, subtract, T equals 116 degrees. There is your missing angle. Now we have this one. This one's going to take a little bit. But again, find that right angle. Always look for that right angle. This right here is a straight line. This right here is a straight line. So this must be our right angle. So we must label this one. Well, we already have X's. So I want to label this as angle A. Angle of 25 degrees and angle A are complementary because it is a right angle. Looking, you also have this straight line going straight across, which makes our angle of 2x, angle of 3x, and angle A are supplementary angles. So let's start with what we know. Since 2x and 3x have variables and A is a variable, start with our complementary. 25 and A equals 90. Want to keep our A, so subtract 25 from both sides. Inverse property cancels out. A stays the same. Borrow and subtract. A is equal to 65 degrees. Now we can use the supplementary 2x and 3x, and our angle of A of 65 degrees equals 180 degrees. Now we have two x's. We can push those together. 2x plus 3x equals 5x plus 65 is equal to 180. We want to keep our x, so we get rid of the 65 both sides. 5x, inverse cancels out, borrow, subtract, 115. 5x equals 115. This is where I think it's funny, so we must divide x. And if we divide, we know that 5 can go into 11 twice. So we subtract 10, we have 15. 5 can go into 15 3 times. X is 23. But the thing is, we need to find 2x and 3x. So 23 times 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 46 degrees. We also take 23 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. 69 degrees. Our two missing angles are 46 degrees and 69 degrees. Our last problem. In a complete sentence, relevant angles. Find that 90 degrees. Well, we only have one 90 degree right here. And it comes from these two angles. So we know that angle of 5x and that angle of 2x plus 20 are complementary angles. Knowing this, we know that 5x plus the quantity of 2x plus 20 equals 90. Well, we all know parentheses first, but nothing's going to change. So 5x plus 2x plus 20 equals 90. We have 5x here, 2x here, 7x plus 20 equals 90. We want to keep the x, so subtract the 20 from both sides. 7x, inverse property, 90 minus 20 is 70. Divide. Divide. We know x stays because those 7's cancel out. 70 divided by 7 is 10. But we need to find 5x and 2x plus 20. So that means we take 5 times 10 equals 50. 50 degrees. We also take 2. Substitute in 2 times 10 plus 20. 2 times 10 is 20 plus 20. 20 plus 20 is 40. 40 degrees. To double check, we can take 50 degrees plus 40 degrees equals 90 degrees. We have our 90 degree angle. So now, what you guys are going to do is you have a homework paper. You need to work with your table to complete. Go through, find all right angles, find our straight angles, find all vertical angles, find all adjacent angles. All of these will help you to solve your homework. Good luck.